Welcome to Talking Technology with VI Labs. At VI Labs, we believe technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you're looking for the latest news and conversation on tech from a more accessible perspective, you've come to the right place.
I always try to bring sporting drama to life for those who couldn't see it or who couldn't get to see it. So I was wondering if you'd do something. Close your eyes. I'm serious. Close your eyes. Thanks. Now instead, see with your imagination.
No, he doesn't. No, he's got the goal! It was never more than the height of a man. Tennyson, the poet, to T. Jerry in the magician. Anthony Daly strikes it. Is it sweet? Is it sweet? It's over the bar! And Clare are leading in the All-Ireland final.
People with sight loss don't want just to hear about the serious game of life. They want to live it. The barriers they face are in black and white. The solutions are in colour. The solutions are you and I.
What an incredible voice. Really, what an absolutely incredible voice. We were talking just before the podcast, the news broke, and the word that has been moving around the office since that news broke just a short little while ago has been legend. And I think for people with sight loss in particular for those who may have even grown up listening to him on the radio, listening to Micheál Marhertig on the radio, that couldn't be truer. And a career spanning 61 years from 1949 through to 2010. He was there commentating matches on radio, and as he said in that ad there, he really did think of people who were visually impaired as part of that. Joe, I want to bring you in here. Micheál Marhertig passes away at the age of 93. What a career and what a legacy too.
Yeah, what a legacy and an unbelievable human being. And look, I don't use the word legend lightly. He's one man I would use it for. Even listen to that advertisement there that used to be a Vision Ireland advertisement. It gives you goosebumps. Just listen to his voice. So I'd like to acknowledge and pass our sympathies on to his family and the great service he done to everybody in the country and people with sight loss. I know we're going to talk about audio descriptive commentary today, but in my opinion, he was the original of audio descriptive commentary. He described things down to a T without having to be initiated to do it for visually impaired or blind people, but I thought his commentaries were the best I've ever heard anyway.
You said it there earlier on. It was like he had a style of his own when it came to describing stuff to everyone, but it worked so well for visually impaired people. And what a legacy to leave behind. And as you said there, Joe, our condolences and sympathies to his family, and may he rest in peace. What an incredible career. And Micheál Marhertig, and I think clear to say an absolute legend. But there you go. It was fitting to pay tribute to Micheál Marhertig today, and we don't usually talk about sport on Talking Technology, but today we are going to be talking about all things sport. In fact, it is episode 60 of Talking Technology. You're very welcome in. Hope you've been having a good couple of days. It's been a few weeks since we spoke to you last. It was the Worldwide Developers Conference, in fact. I believe when we spoke to you last, we were talking about all the great stuff coming from Apple. But today, it's on to sport. And there's so much sport going on at the moment. We've got the Euros going on. And we've got a fascinating interview coming up later on, all about audio-described commentary for the League of Ireland. Here, our local sports. We'll be talking to Phelim Warren from Shamrock Rovers. He'll be joining us later on in the show to talk about how everything works for audio-described commentary for Shamrock Rovers home games. That's a really exciting conversation, and we'll be bringing you that in just a bit too. But first, Let's get down to business. Let's do the contact details. There are loads of ways, as always, that you can get in touch. If you want to join the conversation on Talking Technology today, there are absolutely loads of ways that you can do so, and we would absolutely love to hear from you. You can send us an email the good old-fashioned way to content@vi.ie. That's content@vi.ie. Send us your thoughts, your feelings, what new technology you've tried. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. Content@vi.ie. Or you can send us a WhatsApp voice note. The number that you need for that is 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. So whether you've got technology that you're trying or something in the news has caught your attention and you want to share your thoughts on it, on a technology point of view in particular, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. So please do send us a message and do join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. And some people who have been doing that over the last little while, well, we're going to listen to their voice notes now. And Joe, we've had topics in on all matters of various stuff over the last little while. And Joe, we're starting off. Edvard is back. We did without Edvard for like 2 or 3 weeks, but he's back, thankfully, Joe.
Brilliant.
So Edvard got in touch, and Edvard had questions about AfterShokz headphones and also the world of accessible dating.
Hey lads, so I've got a question and a comment here actually. So my question is, would it be worth it for me to buy the AfterShokz bone conductive headphones if I have AirPods Pro 2 with transparency mode? From my experience, when I was on the train there a few days ago, the transparency mode works great. Like, I was still able to hear everything around me, including my music, but it's not as great as the bone conductive ones because I kind of compared the two of them, and to be honest, I think the bone conductive headphones sound a bit better. I don't know, what do you guys think? I want to hear your opinion on this as well. And my comment on the Ellie app, I was never aware that there was such an app as a disability dating. However, I can't really see myself using it. I mean, if I was to be single, I would probably use Tinder. Now, again, let me know what you guys think about Tinder. Is it accessible actually? Just for someone that would find handy using it or something like that, because I heard about Tinder but I've never tried it. I mean, I don't really see I need to do it, but anyways, let me know what you guys think.
Edvard, I must say, first of all, I do love the humble bragging. You know, if he was single, you know, he doesn't need to use these apps, Joe.
Well, yeah, that is humble bragging there, all in one. But look, Tinder, I can't actually answer that question about Tinder. I haven't used it. I hear it's all about swiping left and right, and it's probably a very vain kind of an app based on how people look. So I wouldn't think it's the most ideal thing for a vision impaired person, to be honest. But I look, it's a free country. Everyone is welcome to give it a try and let us know their opinion on Tinder. For Edvard, in case everything goes pear-shaped, you might need to use an app, but I don't think so. Look, no, I think Tinder, yeah, I wouldn't imagine it's the most accessible in the world, but maybe there is great descriptions on it and stuff like that. We can't make judgment until somebody tries it out for us, and maybe that might be another opportunity for someone to send in WhatsApp voice message. Absolutely. But going back to Edvard's original question or comment on open ear headphones from Shokz. Well, it used to be called AfterShokz. They're the ones I tried out, were the older version, but I have tried on the newer versions but haven't used them extensively. The newer versions of open ear headphones from Shokz are very comfortable. They're really light. They've definitely reduced the weight of them, so They don't feel anyway heavy on your face, and they're more comfortable. So open ear, yes, if you like bone conducting sound coming in through your cheekbones and you can cope with it not going through your ears, and you think they're okay, I think they're definitely a good choice for sure, and they have improved. Battery life has improved. There is a version you can use swimming. Maybe JP will come in a second, but yeah. I prefer AirPods, but that's just me, maybe because I'm just so used to using AirPods. There is a disadvantage with AirPods Pro or AirPods. The fact you can lose them. There is a little thing you can get to join them together, but they can get lost very easily. If they fall on the ground, they have it bouncing about 2 or 3 feet away from where they actually dropped. So it can be difficult to find them when they fall in a public area. But other than that, the sound is amazing out of AirPods. The open ear aspect is better probably out of the Shokz, but the sound is better out of the AirPods. So it's a personal choice, but I wouldn't put anyone off either. It's a choice they'll have to make themselves. I don't know what you think, David.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Just on that, before I jump right into that, I have played around a little bit with Tinder. It's okay. It's not great. Similar story with Bumble. Bumble is probably a little bit better. Bumble is a little bit better. Not incredible. They did add stuff recently that lets you flag. It doesn't let you disclose a disability outside of a bio or anything. But you can now state, I think, that you are I think they call it disability positive or something like this, which is interesting. So there you go. On the headphones front though, I've only ever tried the AirPods Pro. I really like the AirPods Pro, but I wouldn't have any. I wouldn't be opposed to using something like the Shokz headphones. I think they're a fantastic concept. And JP, I'll bring you in here because you had a fascinating use case for these when we were chatting about this before the show.
Yeah, that's right, David. So I got my hands on a pair of AfterShokz Open Swim headphones. So now, much like Joe and yourself, David, I'll be more a fan of the AirPods. That's what I use primarily if I'm listening to Apple Music. I listen to Spotify. It's AirPods that I go to. But on this occasion, I was open water swimming. I was doing some sea swimming, and I had access to a pair of the AfterShokz Open Swim headphones. So the way these work is they wrap around the back of your head, come over your ears, and they kind of rest quite comfortably, I would say, on the bone just in front of your ears. So certainly very comfortable. But the amazing thing is that I was I'm not swimming any great length, not kilometers or anything like it, but maybe 5-10 minutes swimming, and you can wear these underwater, so they're fully submersible. I believe, looking at some of the specs on these, you can wear them for up to 2 hours in the sea or in a pool. One thing to point out is that they're actually not Bluetooth compatible, so you don't actually have a phone or a device with you to pair with. There's actually internal music storage in these, so it offers 4 gigabytes of storage, which is pretty massive. I mean, that's a couple, 1,000 or 1,000, maybe 1,500 songs, potentially MP3 storage options there.
It's like going back in time. It's dedicated MP3 storage. I love it.
That's it's actually remember exactly when we all had an MP3 player. That's exactly what it's like.
I loved my little Zen Stone. It was an amazing bit of kit.
Yeah, I remember I had one, and we lost without it. So the way it works is you put these on over your ears. Underwater, I was listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it was as if I was there going for a walk on my bike. It was the audio quality was so clear. Now, not to the same standard as, say, for example, a set of Bose, but hey, I mean, you're underwater, so that's understandable. The tracks, if you're listening to music and you want to switch tracks or adjust volume, that can all be done through the buttons on the device. So you're not having to take out a phone or another device to control that. What was interesting was that one thing I felt wearing them in the water, I was afraid because actually I didn't know mine. I was borrowing them from a relation, but I was terrified they were going to fall off my head and to be sunk on the bottom of the ocean. But
Red Hot Chili Peppers would be sounding great down there.
It would. So AfterShokz, as you said, that actually you can even do flips in these flips turns that swimmers do in the pool.
Yeah.
They won't fall off. So they're very very secure on your head. And I was thinking about, I've spoken to some service users over the years who do enjoy swimming, not just in the sea but in like lane swimming. And I would say, like, when you're going up and down lanes in a pool, like, it can be a little bit tedious, but this is brilliant. So you can have a podcast on, you can have your favorite music playing, and the audio quality is excellent. Price wise, Amazon sell these, as do AfterShokz themselves at the store, and they come in at about €160 at the moment on Amazon.
That's not brutal either.
Oh, I don't think it's crazy. And plus, these are specifically built for use in the water, but you can use these for other activities if you're going out walking, if you're doing running, hiking, etc. Around the house, you can wear these equally fine. Certainly, if anyone's interested in any swimming at all, or if anyone is for that matter listening in, I think a pair of the AfterShokz open swim headphones is the way to go.
JP, just out of curiosity, is the battery life good on that particular model?
Yeah, battery life, Daniel, is 8 hours and has a USB-C charging cable. 2 hours to fully charge, but battery life realistically will last you a few weeks, unless you're swimming across the Irish Ocean, the Channel, to a big epic swim. But yeah, it lasted certainly a few weeks. 8 hours, a continuous battery life.
That's incredible. There you go.
Yeah.
That's fantastic stuff. Thank you so much, JP. And hope that answers your question, Edvard. Thank you so much for sending in the message. We did have another message in from even the staff. It's gas now. Even the staff members be sending in these voice notes. It's great. We got a voice message in from Dorian, and Dorian was commenting on an article in the Tech on Tap newsletter.
Hey, talking technology. This is your old friend Dorian here. Great articles, of course, as always, and really interested in the Alt-Q keystroke in Microsoft Office products that you put in there, Joe. So nice one. I thought I'd give everyone a couple of ideas of where I use it. It's a really great way to shortcut, getting tasks done rather than going through the ribbon in full and all the other keystrokes. So one that I use and have used quite regularly is, for some reason, maybe you've accidentally written out your document or whatever it is in uppercase accidentally. So obviously one alternative could be to go back and rewrite the whole thing and put it in normal sentence case, capital letter for the start and lowercase for the rest. But there is a really great way you can change it really quickly. So I highlight the text, maybe using the shift and the arrow keys to highlight the text of the broken uppercase text that you've got. And then Alt-Q, and then you type in change case. So case is in C-A-S-E. And then arrow down, and you've got a selection, and you can just change it to sentence case. So yeah, highlight your text, Alt-Q, change case, and find sentence case, and it's done. Another one that's really great is also when you're in an Outlook email, and the person in the email says, "Hey, we've got more to discuss. Let's have a meeting," in the email. So you can go Alt-Q inside the email and type in reply with meeting. So instead of replying normally and just saying, "Yeah, that's great, we'll meet," you can actually reply with that information typed, but also you can actually create a meeting on the back of that email. So so keep up the great work as always, and looking forward to hearing the next episode.
Thanks so much, Dorian. Much appreciated. Joe, great tips there from Dorian. Alt-Q, do you use it much?
I do. I use it a lot, actually, David, and it's one of my favourite keystrokes. It's, as I said in the newsletter, it's like a cheat code for getting through that ribbon that low vision and blind people would find a little bit hazardous to get through some of the deeper areas where things are hidden. But what a great tutor Dorian really is there. That second tip about replying to an email with a meeting with all Q.
That's fantastic. Isn't
I didn't even know that, David. So thanks, Dorian. You've educated me as well as everybody else there. That's brilliant.
Brilliant tip. And thank you so much for sending it in, Dorian. No, those are some great tips. I know using the ribbon can be very tedious, I think is one way to put it. But that is making it a little bit easier. So, Joe, Dorian, thanks so much for that. And you can check out that article that Joe wrote on All Q in the Tech on Tap newsletter. You can sign up for that on our website, vi.ie. Right, let's move on. We are off to sports stuff now, and some really exciting stuff, because last night I got a chance to catch up with Phelim Warren. Phelim is an audio descriptive commentator for Shamrock Rovers home games. Now, for those of you who are into sport, I know it's not everybody, but for those of you who are into sport, you may know that the Euros official app have been providing audio descriptive commentary for all of their games. Not all in English, unfortunately, but they provide them in the language, I guess, of the home or of the playing teams, and also I think German as well, because it's played in Germany, I believe. But then that has sparked a conversation about the use of audio descriptive commentary in sport, and where it's been and where it's going. So last night I caught up with Phelim from Shamrock Rovers to tell me a little bit more about some of the fantastic stuff that they're doing and how fans are enjoying it. So joining me now on Talking Technology, I'm delighted to be joined by Phelim Warren, who is one of the audio descriptive commentators for Shamrock Rovers. Phelim, you're very welcome to Talking Technology. How are you?
Thank you, David. I'm delighted to be on. I'm very well, thanks. So happy to talk football always, but happy to talk about our initiative that we have for visually impaired football supporters.
So on that note, I guess, do you want to tell me just a little bit about what you're doing there in Shamrock Rovers? Because It's quite unique within football in general, but especially in the League of Ireland.
Yeah, it actually, the first club to use it in the League of Ireland was our great rivals, Bohemians. There was a programme on, the RTE nationwide programme that goes out after the news.
Indeed.
A number of years ago, their initiative featured on it. So I think it was Bows who were the first club to use it in the League of Ireland, and I know Celtic definitely used it recently, the last couple of years, Glasgow Celtic.
Not that rare at all then, it seems. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's hopefully catching on. As in February 2020, Mark Lynch, who's the Shamrock Rovers media officer, announced on Shamrock Rovers social media channels that they were looking for Rovers supporters to volunteer to become trained commentators in audio descriptive commentary, that there was an initiative with the NCBI as it was then, and there would be training provided for volunteers who wished to become audio described commentators. So I was one of 6 who volunteered for the training course back in February 2020. Now one didn't turn up, so there was at the end of the training there was 5 of us who were trained in the audio descriptive commentary. And South Dublin County Council became involved as well in the purchase of the equipment, which we'll probably touch on shortly. But it was February 2020, David, that the initiative was began with Shamrock Rovers.
So you guys do, is it all of your home games generally that you do? And how does that work then? So you guys describe all of the action on the field, but it's a little bit more descriptive than something like commentary on television. There are differences there. So do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
They're worlds apart, to be honest, David, because in actual fact, since I became trained in audio descriptive commentary, as the increased streaming of matches on LOI TV, if matches aren't on mainstream television like RTE or Virgin, when COVID was at its height, people obviously weren't able to go to matches, so LOI TV was born. And when the usual Shamrock Rovers commentator for LOITV, Con Murphy, who's a professional and a well-known commentator, if he's been unavailable, it has fallen to me a great privilege for me to provide the TV commentary for the video stream on LOITV. So I've done that on 4 occasions. But to get back to your question, yeah, in my opinion, like I say, I've had both sides of the coin, being the main commentator and the commentator for the audio description. So the big difference for me between TV commentary and this commentary is obviously with audio descriptive commentary, the main focus is where the ball is. You know, we map the ball. That's our mantra. Map the ball. Where's the ball? Is it on the far side? Is it in the defensive third of Shamrock Rovers? Is the ball played long down the far side? Has it gone out for a corner on the near side? And so it's very much mapping the ball, but also while the ball is moving, you don't necessarily have to know the names of the players, but just to say, you know, the number 7 is on the ball on the far side. He's got space in front of him. He's being pursued by an opponent, you know, and so you're literally, it's full on completely. You know, there's very, very few breaks in your voice.
Very quick.
Other than maybe if there's a stoppage in play, you'd have to pause for breath. But my style, we all have different styles, all those commentators, but my style would be quite exciting, as it were. Like I'd raise my voice a lot. I'd try to overdo the flow of information to the user. But I think it's important to give the service user as much information as possible. You know, and not only what's going on the pitch. If there's maybe some action in the crowd, like flags or flares, you can describe that. Or if there's an altercation between the two managers on the touchline, you could describe that. You know, so it's just you're trying to give the service user as realistic, a picture in their minds as possible.
That's really interesting. It's one of these things we talked about, especially around things like the Euros, and we've had it with the Six Nations now in recent times as well. That importance of having a level of passion within even the audio described commentary to really enhance that atmosphere. How important is that? Yeah.
That's hugely important, to be honest, David. And it was kind of... we were wondering about that on the day of the training itself, but you know, in as Maggie, it was kind of logical enough when you thought about it. And James said to us, "You're Rovers supporters, so be Rovers supporters as well as commentators, because it's strange. Like after I decided to volunteer for it, like I get very involved in the game anyway. I'm a very vocal supporter away from the commentary, you know. And I kind of when I was thinking about it when I had volunteered, I said, "Oh, is this going to take my enjoyment of the game?" You know, being a fan, like I'm going to Rovers since 1979. I'm 57 years of age now, and it was just a question I had to myself: will it take away from my enjoyment of the game? But in actual fact, it's the opposite. And I think all the other commentators would say that it has enhanced our enjoyment of the game. You know, providing this service. So we are allowed to be biased. We, you know, once the language doesn't get too colourful, you can't really help. You can't help the odd shit, or you know,
sure.
We can't turn the air blue too much. In actual fact, one or two of our regular service users would become so involved in the game, you know, that there is a bit of bad language from them, which I suppose is a compliment that they're understanding a lot of what's going on in the pitch, and maybe they can sense the frustration from me if things aren't going our way or whatever. But
sure,
it's absolutely essential to be enthusiastic and, you know, biased, not to a ridiculous degree, but you know, we're Rovers fans, as I say, at the end of the day. So we're looking at it through green and white tinted spectacles. There's no doubt about that.
For sure. And then, so how is everything working? Just, I mean, this is talking technology, so we need to talk a little bit about the tech. How are you doing it from a technical standpoint? What does that setup look like? And is it something that can be easily replicated?
It's quite straightforward. I'll just go back a little bit to, as I say, we were due to roll this out just before COVID hit. So when no fans were obviously allowed in the games, this was a great help from James Flanagan, as I said, who gave us the training course. The first match that we covered, an audio stream was actually developed, David, where, you know, a person would click on the link, and they would be able to listen to the game. Obviously, nobody was at the game, and this was before LOI TV had happened as well. So it was really like listening to a match on the radio again, but it was more detailed than radio commentary. So we had an audio stream for the first year and a bit. Yeah, September 2020 was the first time the audio stream happened. And we were able to provide that audio stream up until fans started coming back into the matches. So there was about a year of an audio stream. Whereas, as I say, when we announced that the match was on, we could say for visually impaired listeners, here's the link to our audio stream, and they clicked on that, and you would have the match then. But then, as I say, when we actually started having fans getting back into the stadium, it's a very simple setup. As a commentator, I just wear a little receiver with a small aerial on it and a very minuscule microphone, which I clip to my collar. And the service user has a little green receiver, slightly bigger than a box of matches, with an earpiece that is connected to the receiver. It's as simple as that. It's an earpiece connected to the receiver.
That's really fascinating. So something you could definitely, if other clubs were listening and they wanted to roll it, it's definitely doable, isn't it?
Oh, it's. I think the only expense is the equipment. But as I say, South Dublin County Council, who own Tallaght Stadium, they come on board it, and we also have a sponsor. Current sponsor is IRES. So yeah, it's. I don't know how expensive the equipment is, but it's a very basic. I'd say it's a very basic and small investment. But for what the service users are getting, I think money shouldn't be an object. Because without being boastful or big-headed, I can speak for any user who has used our service. I'd say since we've been providing it now with fans back in the ground for the last nearly 3 years now, we've probably had over a dozen users in total. We'd like to have more, but I think you speak to any of those dozen users who have been there, and they will say the commentary, the initiative was a very positive experience for them. And as we have two lads who actually bought season tickets last season and this season. So I think, again, that's a reflection on the service. And
that's brilliant. And that is something that is really fascinating. So that take up on it, you want a bit more take up is obviously good, but have you noticed that fluctuate over time, the kind of take up and usage of the service? Is it consistent?
Initially, as I say, because the NCBI were such a big help to us initially, they were able to take 3 or 4 or 5 of their own service users over using NCBI transport. Shamrock Rovers were great in getting out the word that the service was available. We haven't had the take up we hoped we would have. At the start of this season, I did call into the Vision Ireland office in Tallaght and spoke to a very nice I don't know if she's a volunteer or a paid employee, but I sent her the details just to drum up more awareness of it, really, and she endeavoured to do so. So while we just have our 2 regular service users who I mentioned there, Brendan and Chris, we would like to have more in. People mightn't be aware that if a visually impaired user has an accompanying person, that person would be admitted free of charge. So the user would buy a ticket and the accompanist would be free of charge.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant stuff. I guess, look, what would be your overall message that you want to get out? It's a really, really cool service, and it's fantastic now that we're starting to see it become more prevalent in sport. Yeah. But where do you think the future is going for this? And what do you think? What message would you like to get out to people listening today?
Yeah, well, my message is it's there for all ages. Our youngest service user she hasn't come now for the last year or so for other reasons. She was 11 and she only had lost her 11 or 12. She had only lost her sight, began to lose her sight in the previous 6 to 12 months. And she used to play football. And her aunt used to bring her all the time. Her mother came once or twice. She found it fantastic because she missed playing football. So we've gone from, we had users from 11 years of age. Our oldest, we had a couple of elderly members as well. There was one fella in particular who used to be a Rovers fan back in the 60s and 70s. And as he aged, he lost his sight and he didn't go to matches. And then he was an NCBI service user and he heard of the service. He was local. He is local. And he started coming, and he was delighted, because he hadn't been to, and it gets people out. It gets people out for a few hours on a Friday night, which the matches are usually on a Friday night now. With European football coming up, they'll be Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday night, Thursday night. But league matches are always on a Friday night in Tallaght Stadium. It's a good night out. You're part of. We got fantastic facilities in Tallaght Stadium. The service users themselves, have become minor celebrities we have an area reserved for visually impaired service users, and are the stewards at the stadium, fans who sit in the same places every week. They would know Chris and Brendan really well, and we get to know them, they get to know us, and I think it really enhances, as I said, it has enhanced my enjoyment of supporting Shamrock Rovers. But I think for visually impaired users, as I say, it gets them out of the house, it gets them out into a football environment, an exciting environment, and I think it's a really positive thing for their mental health as well. And they get to know more people. They get to know more people. They make more friends. It can be a cliche sometimes. It's a football family, but I feel which because I think domestic football, League of Ireland football, I think stands really apart now from the way the circus and the monster that the Premier League has become. That I think a lot of players now out there are untouchable and living in a different world. Whereas I think in domestic, the League of Ireland football, and not only Shamrock Rovers, I think you're more part of it in League of Ireland football. Not only Rovers, I say other clubs. The players are that bit more accessible. The management teams, the players. I know at Rovers, I can only speak for Rovers. The players at Shamrock Rovers are so approachable. Nothing is any trouble for them. They don't sign good footballers solely. They sign good people, and they're very, very accessible with their time. And the Shamrock Rovers management, I'm privileged to know Stephen Bradley, the Shamrock Rovers manager, quite well. He's an incredible human being. He never turns down a request, for a picture or a shake hand or a hello or whatever. I think it really, I can't overestimate what a great experience it is, whether you have full sight or visual sight, partial sight or no sight. I think I can't recommend the service highly enough, to be honest.
That is absolutely fantastic. Phelim, thank you so much for joining me. It's a fantastic initiative that you've got going over there.
Thanks, David.
And
Thanks.
It's brilliant, even socially, and it really sounds like you treat your visually impaired fans like real VIPs over there.
100%. And look at, we take a lot of things that we have, us full-sided people, we take stuff for granted. I think it's fantastic to be able to give something back, and to include people who are less fortunate than we are. And as I said, it has only enhanced my enjoyment of being a Shamrock Rovers supporter. We're very proud of the service. The club are completely, the club have really rowed in behind it from every level. From stewards to supporters to board members, chief executive, executive chairman. Everybody is aware of it, and we get a lot of good feedback from people who matter at the club, and that really, that gives everybody a lift. So it's a fantastic service, and I'm really proud of it.
Fantastic stuff. Phelim, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
David, can I just, before you leave me there, if anybody is listening to this and wants to get in touch, they can just email info@shamrockrovers.ie if they wish to ask about the service or apply for tickets. It's, as I say, info@shamrockrovers.ie, or just contact Shamrock Rovers on their social media, be it Instagram, Facebook or Twitter, X now as it's called now.
Brilliant. We'll add that in the show notes as well for people.
Great.
Phelim, thank you so much.
Brilliant, David. You're very welcome.
And there you have it. I really think that is just absolutely fantastic. Like, just to have a service like that is really, really brilliant, and it's something that it sounds like it's really on the rise, which is fantastic. Joe, have you ever gone to a match with audio descriptive commentary?
Yes, well, I haven't gone to a Shamrock Rovers match, but I have listened to the live stream when they had it on in the early days of COVID. And as Phelim said, thanks to James Flanagan and Maggie for helping him with the training back in the day. Phelim is an excellent commentator, and as you can see, he's got an excellent speaking voice, and he's easy
really
to listen to, and I really enjoyed it, actually.
Absolutely. And there's been a few people have sent in voice notes on this as well. And we are starting off with one of our colleagues over at Vision Sports Ireland. And Zara had some really interesting thoughts and wanted to share their perspective on the subject.
I think having a more mainstream approach to having audio descriptive commentary included in all aspects of sport or physical activity is something that's really important. We've seen the success of that when it comes to the Access for All programme. The Vision Ireland and Vision Sports Ireland have run throughout the years with the League of Ireland teams like Bows and Shelbourne Rovers. But it's something I think that really could be improved and really could be brought across a number of different sports, because we see the impact that it can have on people, and it really gives you, because sport is such a social thing, and if you're not getting to necessarily get the full impact of what it can offer, I think it's something that should be improved. So we see that people can also use that then to get involved in sport or physical activity themselves, because if you really get a love for a sport and you want to grow up for a young person wants to grow up and be a footballer like their hero, that's something that we want to be able to facilitate. And I think that from that, the audio descriptive commentary is something that plays a really key role in that, because it allows them to fully access sport or physical activity just like anyone else. So yeah, from a Vision Sports side of things, we would love to see audio descriptive commentary brought into more mainstream sport or physical activity.
It's a great point, and touching on similar points that Phelim touched on there as well, especially around that social aspect. Like, sport is hugely social, and I guess for those of us who maybe aren't as into sport, sometimes that can be a bit much. But like, I see it with my brothers and stuff. Like, they're like, my younger brother is really into sport, and you know, it is like there is an exciting aspect of whether it's, you know, football and stuff like that, or the Euros are on at the moment, and it is like a shared experience for people, isn't it?
It is indeed. And look, if you do get more information from the commentator of what's happening on the pitch, it gives you more of an insight and lets you get more involved in conversations with your friends down the pub or out on the street or wherever you might meet them, or even just watching it together at home. You can put your earphones in. So, yeah, it's definitely a massive social thing, sport. It's obviously sport is designed to be a group activity that people get involved in, but to keep us involved and fully in the loop, this audio descriptive commentary is great. Generally, I love commentary from most places like RT Radio 1 or BBC 5 Live or KCLR, my local station. They all do great jobs on commentary, even on local games and stuff like that. It doesn't always have to be audio descriptive, but the radio one, sometimes I always find better. You know, I often find it better than the TV, of course. The TV can let you down as regards commentary, because they want, I suppose, maybe sighted people, they presume everyone can see it.
There's an assumption you can see it, yeah.
Yeah, you can see it, and there's lots of quiet spaces in it. You do get the gist of it, but look, the audio descriptive commentary I find brilliant. At the moment, in a moment, I'll mention the what the Euros have on. If you want to listen to the next voice note.
Yeah. So we can do that now before we'll jump back in a few minutes. But the Euros, they've got. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what the Euros are doing, Joe? First.
In the Euros at the moment, if you download the Euro 2024 app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, you can download on your smartphone. And if you go into More, which is down the bottom right, and then you can go into audio descriptive commentary. And when you go in there, it explains that this commentary is more enhanced for people that have low vision or are blind. And then if, for example, if England are playing Slovenia tonight, which is happening, you'll get English commentary and Slovenian commentary and also German. And if it was, we'll say, Serbia versus Denmark, you'll get Serbian, Danish and German. You won't get English commentary on some of the other matches. But I think I have listened to some of the commentaries on the Scottish matches and the English matches, and yeah, commentators are actually brilliant. They're up there in Phelim's quality bracket, if you know what I mean. So I did, and the atmosphere was great in the background as well. So they have a co-commentator who's just as good as the main commentator. So bits he might miss, the co-commentator will come in and give his opinion and enhance the listenership, if you know what I mean. Just a listening experience. So yeah, I did listen to a couple of games and I found it brilliant, David.
You mentioned as well, like we discussed this with the Six Nations previously, that importance of having atmosphere. And you had mentioned that you felt that with the Six Nations one, that while it was fantastic to have it, the atmosphere was somewhat lacking. But that atmosphere is really important, isn't it?
The atmosphere is really important. Yes, the Six Nations, look, our sponsors are very important. I think it's Deutsche Telekom are sponsoring the one from Euro 2024, and it was Guinness and ITV were sponsoring the one from ITV, which was the Six Nations rugby one. They compared quite well, but the ITV one did lack a little bit of atmosphere. Maybe they didn't have access to all microphones or something, but it also didn't have a co-commentator. So the man that was doing it was a lone soldier. He had to play on himself, and at work, I think it works better sometimes when you have a co-commentator as well. If there was just a lot of, I suppose, blanks and lacked a little bit of atmosphere, I think they can improve that with a little bit of feedback. That won't be difficult to improve, and hopefully they'll give it a shot again next year, because for rugby especially, which is a very technical game with lots going on, you do need a lot of audio scripted commentary, I think.
Absolutely. It would be great to see it really come to Ireland as well. Would be fantastic if they did. I do want to play, just so people can get an idea of it here. I've got a very short clip of some of the commentary from the Euros 2024 app. So Phelim mentioned that it's different to TV commentary, and that I guess the goal of this is really to track the ball, but also it's partially to describe what's going on the field, so you get an idea visually of what's going on, and then to track the ball as something is happening. So this will hopefully give you a little bit more of an idea of what Phelim was talking about. So this is from one of the, I believe it was one of the Scottish or English games from Euro 2024.
It was Scott McTominay who was out on that far side. Did he just take a touch as that ball was heading back towards the touchline near the corner flag? No, he didn't. It's going to be a throw for Scotland, about 5 yards away from the corner flag on that far side. As the sun beams down at the top of the east side of the ground. It's a gorgeous day here in Cologne, and this throw is going to go towards the penalty box. Kieran Tierney with the ball in his hands, just wiping the ball down with his top. And he's almost right next to the corner flag. Kieran Tierney, he throws it in towards the 6-yard box, headed away to the edge of the area. Scotland still with possession, out to that far touchline, 10 yards from the byline. Cross comes in, that one's blocked. A header comes in now towards the 6-yard box on the left side of the penalty area. Ball in towards the 6-yard box, that one's blocked, and it's another corner for Scotland. And you might be able to hear that roar coming from the Tartan army to the left of me.
And there you go. It's like really just absolutely so cool just to hear something like that. It really is. Just to you get much.
Those Scottish fans are great, aren't they?
Oh, they really are. Some passion, Joe. You really hear it in them, don't you? And it's fantastic just because you can almost visualize it much better than someone just... I've often found, like, I'm not, as I said, a massive sports fan, but you hear it sometimes on television and they just say the name of whoever's got the ball. And you're like, what use is that to me? You know? But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you just need a little bit more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is absolutely fantastic. So well done to everyone involved in that. And Joe, I think we should finish off with some positive news. What do you think?
Go ahead, yeah. Positive is always good.
Well, yeah, that's what they say anyway. So we did get a voice note in from the one and only Mr. Brian Manning down here in Cork, and he had some really interesting news to share with us about audio descriptive commentary, specifically around the GAA in Cork.
Hi guys, Brian here from the Cork office of Vision Ireland, just to tell you about a new exciting project that we are working in collaboration with the Cork County Board of the GAA. A number of years, about a year ago, I got a message from a local soccer team in Munster asking about the audio description for the matches. And I just thought, being a GAA head, that if the FAI can do it in their grounds, why can't we do it on our grounds? So I contacted the Cork County Board, and they were very enthusiastic and very ambitious for the project. And we've worked in collaboration with them. Maggie Richards from the Resource Centre in Wexford was on the project as well. She met with the county board. We went through the Páirc Uí Chaoimh and through the logistics of setting up the system. the county board have worked in collaboration with a sponsor, and they have a sponsor. So we're hoping to have the whole thing up and running for maybe the start of the local county championship, so our own service users can go along, get the audio description that they need, and have a very inclusive experience.
So there you go. That's some positive news that there seems to be some progress down here in the Rebel County too, Joe. I'm sure you're not a massive fan of the Cork GAA, but there you go, Joe. Fantastic stuff. What do you think? Sorry, I cut you off there.
Sorry, that's unbelievable stuff for the people of Cork. That'd be great if that initiative takes off the ground. I know earlier on Brian was slagging me about the beating Cork handed out beating the Tipperary, but look, they'll have a tough one next time in Limerick, and Brian might be sorry they'll have audio description for that one. But look, we'll see what happens. But on a serious note, I think Cork GAA, they're probably one of the biggest and best counties when it comes to GAA, and they love Gaelic football and hurling. They're one of the only teams to have won the All-Ireland in Gaelic football and hurling in the 1 year, which is an amazing achievement. So I hope for Brian, who is blind as well, and for all his pals down in Cork, that this takes off, because the only way we can get it into the mainstream is if it becomes a popular choice in counties like Cork, or the news of how good it is gets out there. So that's great to see the county board getting involved down there in Cork.
Absolutely. We need it to be more than just Brian. We need people to really support this kind of stuff, because these initiatives are fantastic, and we're starting to see them in sport, but also in other areas like theatre and stuff like that. And it's great to support this stuff when we see it, because hey, it's a lot of people are putting some work into it, and it's great to see. So long may it continue.
Yeah. It is great, but I think the really nice thing about it is I see a lot of sponsors are getting behind it. These things cost money and equipment and all that kind of stuff, and to help people get involved and pay for expenses and things like that, it's great to see the sponsors getting behind these kind of initiatives.
Absolutely. And long may it continue. So, Joe, thank you so much. Thank you to Phelim. Thank you to Brian, Zara, everyone who's sent in voice notes as well on audio descriptive commentary in sport. It's a fantastic area, and one that we will hopefully see expand more in the next little while. So we've talking technology news coming up in just a bit, but first a reminder that if you do want to get in touch with us, there are loads of ways to do so. You can send a voice note to us on anything you want at all, whether it's audio descriptive commentary in sport, your favourite sporting experience. Maybe that involved Micheál Murhertig earlier on. We heard about that and stuff. Maybe you want to share your memories, your perspectives, your thoughts on audio descriptive commentary, or anything else in the world of technology. We'd love to hear from you. So you can send us a WhatsApp voice note. The number you need is 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. You can also send an email to content@vi.ie. But now it's Talking Technology News time.
This is Talking Technology News.
So, with your latest Talking Technology News, I am Daniel Dunn. Fi's technology company 11 Labs are set to launch a new app called 11 Labs Reader. The new app, which is launching in Ireland on the 11th of July, will allow users to generate audio of any passage of text that they want. You will be able to add links from the internet too, so if you want to quickly read an article, the app will enable you to do so. 11 Labs is probably as advanced as text-to-speech gets right now. The next paragraph is read by the technology to give you an idea of how it might sound.
While the app has already launched in some countries like America and Canada, it's not currently clear if it will be voiceover accessible. Because most of the processing is done in the cloud, users also won't be able to use these voices for their actual screen reader voice. Despite all this, it's looking to be a really exciting tool.
So, time will tell if the app takes off, but more voices available to visually impaired people can only be a good thing. Do you like more realistic voices, or are you used to the traditional voices of yesteryear? Please let us know with a WhatsApp voice note. In other news, we've got an update on the Sonos story from a few weeks ago. Sonos recently updated their apps, breaking a lot of the accessibility features and making the very expensive speakers effectively unusable by those with no or low vision. The company have now started rolling out fixes with some improvements, and things are slowly starting to get better. It's good to see Sonos listen to the community, but they will need to work hard to rebuild trust following the incident. With high-end speakers like HomePods on the market constantly improving, the reputational damage of the app's accessibility issues will do Sonos no favours. Hopefully, the company can continue to make improvements and create a great experience for the users. And finally, for now, Be My Eyes have released an inclusive language guide, and it's been dividing opinion. The language guide is extremely positive to the word blind, which makes a lot of sense, but some points have been raising some questions. Some of the terms the guide advises using include visual impairment and assistive technology, preferring low vision and access technology, respectively. Visually impaired and partially sighted are described as grossly ableist, out of date, or cloying, while terms like assistive technology or adaptive technology place emphasis on need and difference. Access technology is a more inclusive term. The guide has been met with very mixed feelings, with some calling it progressive and others calling it bonkers. Time will tell if it has had any impact, but it's certainly an interesting decision coming in from Be My Eyes. And that's it for now. Be sure to sign up for the Tech on Tap newsletter on our website and for all the latest technology news. But for now, it's back to you, David.
Thanks, Daniel. That Be My Eyes, that inclusive language guide is really fascinating. They really go hard on some words that I thought were relatively standard. Assistive technology, we're not supposed to say anymore. And visual impairment. That's fascinating, because I'd be interested to get your perspective on this as well, Joe. I've always used the term visually impaired when describing myself. I don't consider, I think blind is obviously a really positive word and should be embraced, but I don't think visually impaired is necessarily a bad term in the way that they're using it. Grossly ableist, they say. Would you agree?
Grossly ableist is a strong description of the word. I wouldn't put that on it. I don't use visually impaired anymore, maybe because someone mentioned it one time, and I use vision impaired sometimes, and alternatively, the odd time I'll use low vision as well. So visually impaired, I suppose some people might look at it in such a way as something visually. You might describe something. He's visually.
Someone described it as being ugly before.
Yeah. So I think it's, when you say the word visually, it means you're looking at it rather than describing the issue. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So maybe that's what the issue is there. But I don't think it's a big deal. But I'm not sure if Be My Eyes has a right to go around writing articles about how things should be said. Like, they're not the Oxford English Dictionary or anything like that. So I think if people are comfortable using one way rather than another, let them be.
That's very fair. And it's there's a lot of ones in there, like vision loss, they're strongly against as well. Assistive technology, I thought, was almost a mainstream term at this point, but they're preferring not assistive technology or adaptive technology. They want access technology. And it is a kind of, one of these weird ones where it's like, where did this even come from? And was it really, I do think in some cases it is needed. I think some of the stuff in there, I should say, is very valid. Some of the stuff, they talk about how, inspiration and stuff like that. And I think that can be frustrating for people who are visually impaired. Another one that they had in there that seems to make a lot of sense is they don't want people using handicapped, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But there are some in there that seem like, really, is that the war that we're fighting now, kind of thing? It's an interesting area, though, isn't it?
I know what you're saying. Some of it isn't a big deal, and some of the words are a big deal. Yeah, some of them are not politically correct anymore. Well, access technology and assistive technology, I think they're both correct. Do you know what I mean? I
would agree
agree with using both of those. I wouldn't replace one with the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I'd fully agree with you in that. It's interesting, and I think no matter who you ask, everybody's probably going to have a different perspective. And like for me, assistive technology doesn't bother me, and I think the vast, majority of people who I have spoken to over the last little while about this guide have shared that kind of sentiment. But I guess obviously Be My Eyes must have done some research on this, because it surely it can't just be arbitrary. They had to get this from somewhere.
True. So I do think Be My Eyes see themselves as a pioneer in company, and they might be steering things the way they want them steered, and I think they like the fact that they're putting out this article out there to give their opinion on the way things should be said. But look, I respect their opinion on it for sure. They deserve to, after all they've done with their amazing pioneering app. They're supposed to have a right to give their opinion and write an article on this subject. But look, there is a few words there, as I said, they're not PC anymore. Every right to disregard those. And then there's other little ones that are not, I wouldn't be strong on, put it that way.
No, and I think that's fair. It's a really interesting issue. I shouldn't even say it's an issue. I think people will just continue to say what they say. And I think, I don't think, frankly, an article from Be My Eyes, as respected as they are, and rightly so, they're highly respected because of the amazing work that they've done. But I don't think this article is going to change a whole lot on its own. It's a really interesting one to observe, though. In other technology news there, Joe, we've got the Sonos app that's making improvements. All good stuff on that. Well, I should say mostly good stuff. They're making improvements, but not before they actually messed it up in the first place. But there you go. Steady improvements, I guess, Joe.
Yeah, they're trying their best to get back in I suppose, blind and vision impaired. There I'm using the term again.
Careful now, Joe. Careful now.
Or low vision. What I do, David? Which one should I use? Yeah. But they're trying to get back in our good books, put it that way, because they really messed up there a couple of months ago by destroying their app and making it not usable to voiceover users, especially. But now they're back on track to, I suppose, 80-90% of the way, and there still is a few glitches and bugs, but they have a user group or a testing group, I suppose, that are vision impaired to try and get the app back working the way it was. They still want a new look and a new feel to it, but they also want voiceover users to be able to use the app, which is great, really, but they still have a bit of work to do.
Absolutely. And final question, are you going to be using the 11 Labs reader?
I will actually try the 11 Labs reader when it comes out. I think this is a good thing. Sometimes the likes of Bookshare and that, you use the Easy Reader app. The voices are okay. They're just similar to, I suppose, the voiceover voices, and they can get a bit monotonous. But anything that sounds more realistic, which 11 Labs does sound realistic, and it will get more realistic as AI voices get better. It probably give a bit of emotion to the way it reads articles and stuff like that. So I definitely will try 11 Labs, and anything that'll keep me interested in an article or a book for a little bit longer, I think it's welcome, and also gives us more access to titles out there or literature.
Brilliant stuff. Joe, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to trying it. I have found it to be like hit and miss, I think. So I purposely didn't retake that when we were doing the voice line for that paragraph that in the news report there. I didn't do that multiple times. It messed it up slightly at the start, but I purposely decided to kind of leave it because it's going to make these messes sometimes. And I think that's really interesting. It can do some just absolutely incredible work where it literally sounds like a human. But it is also not perfect. They haven't replaced humans just yet, so there you go. But anyway, let's move on. It's time for some fun now, and a really exciting and fun, maybe not so practical, but there you go. We're on for fun stuff in Quick Picks.
It's time for VI Labs Quick Picks.
And in quick picks this week, we have the Picky/Pixie bot. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Joe, you told me about this. A really weird little app, this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
A weird app. Spelt Picky, pronounced Pixie by voiceover, of course. So anything that's pronounced by voiceover, I'll repeat it because we hear it a lot. Maybe it could affect some of our pronunciations on different words. But Picky Bot, yeah. So you can download it from the App Store, and it uses AI again, kind of ChatGPT for sort of AI to describe images that you take. You can take pictures of things. You can even take a video, and it'll try and describe the video.
That's really interesting, isn't it? That's the most interesting thing about this in some ways. Yeah,
I was just thinking maybe we should use it to audio describe some of our videos, David. But look, just a thought off the cuff there. But look, that's I think it's a great app to have a bit of fun with, and it also gives you voices in different emotions. Like sad, happy, serious, that kind of thing. Does go on a bit. It's not something you'd use in your everyday life. I think it'll stick to our friends Be My Eyes with their Be My AI feature, or even Seen AI. We'll never forget about Microsoft. Actually, they were first out with all this stuff. So I will, and Google Lookout is another one there for the Android fans as well, even though they're nearly all available on Android at this stage. But there's a few different apps, which I'd always go to first, but it's Pixie Bot. If you want to have a bit of fun, give this a shot. It's great fun. Do you have a clip of this, David?
I absolutely do. Yeah, it's a weird little one. I wouldn't say it's for much practical use, but here it is, so that you get an idea of how the Picky/Pixie bot works. So I'm in a room here in the Cork office at Vision Ireland, and I have just opened the Pixie Bot app. It's pronounced as Pixie Bot on my phone. But this is kind of like Be My AI or, Seeing AI, but it's got a lot more personality. So the one I've got seems to be very artistic and la-di-da kind of, I don't know, that's kind of the way I kind of see it. But that's the one I've got. But let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm just going to go to the
video button,
photos
camera
button here.
button. Camera alert, take
camera.
photo button.
And I'm going to take a photo.
Capture photo button. Switch to front
and
camera
let's
button.
go to the front camera.
Switch to back camera.
Because then it's
Capture
like
photo
a selfie.
button.
And let's get it to describe me in a selfie.
Capture
so I'll just
photo.
take the photo.
Subscription button.
And there is a subscription there, but you don't seem to need that for any of this. So I'm just waiting now on the description from it. It can take a second. It's no different to something like Be My AI or Seeing AI in that regard.
All right, let me try to capture this image for you. Ooh, this is an interesting one, right? Okay, so we've got this indoor setting. Looks like an office or maybe some kind of institutional space, The ceiling, it's got this really cool grid pattern with those recessed lights and air vents. It's just so sleek and modern, And in the background, there's this wall and what looks like a flat screen monitor or TV. It's just adding this really nice touch of technology to the scene.
Is that it? I think that's it. But yeah, it didn't even describe me there. I think that's my initial thoughts on this. You would never use this to, in a practical setting. It's very much just a personality, fun gimmick kind of toy. It's like Be My AI Toy Edition. But hey, sometimes you need a bit of fun with it. And that is Pixie Bot. It's very it's very la-di-da. I don't know. It's weird how it speaks. And there are other voices and personalities available for it too and stuff like that. But an interesting app. Will I be using it a lot? No. But is it cool to have on my phone, and will I probably play with it once in a blue moon? Sure, why not? Do you know what? I think it's just posh, Joe. I think it's literally just posh.
Yeah, that particular voice you chose seemed to be posh.
Yeah.
But you're so posh you forgot to describe yourself, so I don't know.
Maybe I'm just not posh enough for it, Maybe I
It's
don't.
You're undescribable, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe the ceiling is just. We're in a fine modern office. In fairness, here, maybe it's just. That ceiling with its recessed lighting was just way more interesting than me.
Yeah, it called it an institution.
Institution, indeed.
Yeah. I couldn't get over that. But look, there is loads of other voices to play around with. I think there's even better ones than that, just to have a bit of fun with. As I said, it's a fun app. Maybe there's a practical use for describing the videos, though. That's an interesting one I'm going to play with later on and see how that goes.
Yeah, worth playing around with. And just for people who are looking forward, it is free to download. And as I say, there is a subscription if you want, but it's free to download. You can search the App Store for it. It's PixieBot. That's PICCYBOT. PICCYBOT. PixieBot. So there you have it. That is a really interesting app, and that is our quick pick for this week, and that is our show for this week. Thank you so much for listening. We have loads of stuff coming up over the next little while, some really exciting stuff, so be sure to subscribe to us over on YouTube, over on the VI Labs YouTube channel. We'd love to have you over there, and you can also subscribe to our Tech on Tap newsletter on vi.ie. We'd love to have you. We've got great news coming every single Friday, so do be sure to check that out. If you do want to get in touch with us over the next little while, we'd love to hear from you. The WhatsApp voice note number that you need is 086 199 0011. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note there and we'll include it in one of our future shows. And you can also send us an email to content@vi.ie. But for now, thanks to everyone who was on the show today. Loads of people involved. Thank you all so much. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Talking Technology with VI Labs. See you then.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with VI Labs. If you'd like to support our show, please visit vi.ie/donate. Talking Technology is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in digital accessibility services. IA Labs, digital inclusion, your legal obligation.